Welcome to Whatsoever More or Less, a channel where citizens diligently study the U.S. Constitution for ourselves, seeking to understand it in the tradition of our founders. Occasionally, references will come from the leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as our doctrine contains a strong tradition of defending the Constitution. I have a couple more introductory videos planned before getting right into and analyzing the Constitution with my 7 Ps method. If you haven't watched it already, I encourage you to watch my first video called Principles of the Constitution, inspired by President Oaks and President Benson. Today is an excerpt from H. Verlan Andersen's Many Are Called, But Few Are Chosen. Soon I will record a video contrasting the prophetic teachings about the premortal existence and the exhortations in the Constitution, a Heavenly Banner, and the Family, a Proclamation to the World. Then soon I will explain my hierarchy of information affecting my attitude towards the United States Constitution and the proper role of government that I've developed as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints after several years of research. Then we will do a section-by-section analysis of the Constitution using the 7 Ps method. A little bit about H. Verlan Andersen, who will be reading some of his stuff today. He was a lawyer. He served 2 terms in the Utah State House of Representatives. He was a BYU professor. He was at General Authority 70. He wrote books, Many Are Called But Few Are Chosen, The Great and Abominable Church, The Moral Basis of a Free Society, The Book of Mormon and the Constitution, and The Improper Role of Government. The collected version of his books is recently become available. And on that topic, real quick, I do recommend going to a website called Book of Mormon Evidence, and there's Constitution topics that were covered with Lee Andersen, the son of H. Verlan Andersen. I'll post that in the description of the video. And he was chatting with Rod Meldrum. Rod Meldrum has been around this topic for a long time, actually, which is really cool. Simplified philosophical concept, here we go for today's video, and this is really based around the come follow me topic for this week. So I went ahead and thought, okay, I need to make this video. So here's the simplified philosophical concept. If our representative government does it or does something, it's basically the same as if we do it. Okay, many founders and leaders, including Presidents Benson and Oaks, have pointed out that the source of government power is the people. Every citizen influences the path of a nation, and the impact of its leaders depends on followers' choices. Okay, James Madison said, the people are the only legitimate fountain of power, and it is from them that the constitutional charter under which the several branches of the government hold their power is derived. So the fountain of power is derived from us. So now we're going to go ahead and get into reading the introduction to H. Verlan Andersen's book, Many Are Called But Few Are Chosen. Introductory comment. It is unusual to find in recorded history a nation of people who enjoyed the privilege of self-government. It is even more rare to find a nation who possessed this right along with the gospel of Christ. This unusual combination of blessings was given to the Nephites just 125 years before the resurrected Christ visited them in 34 AD. However, by the time Christ appeared to them, the Nephites had destroyed the government by the voice of the people which had been given them. In this dispensation, the people of this nation have been made beneficiaries of the same incomparable set of privileges. There is an extensive evidence that we are in the process of destroying the government God has given us, just as did the Nephites. The scriptures indicate that when the Lord gives to a people both a knowledge of the gospel and the power of self-government, he also places upon them responsibilities of great magnitude with respect to their government. The gospel teachings provided an understanding of the proper function of government, which lays an extremely important political duty upon those who have these teachings. While we may try to separate this duty from our religious obligations, a close examination of the central problem of government reveals it to be essentially moral or religious in nature. The power to participate in governing process is the power to determine under what circumstances it is legal to forcibly deprive a human being of his life, his liberty, and his property. Governments exists for only one purpose, to make and enforce rules about human conduct. But every rule or law which is passed has attached to it a penalty. The penalty invariably takes from the disobedient either his life, his liberty, or his property. Under a government subject to the voice of the people, the ultimate responsibility for laws, and therefore for determining when it is proper to kill a person, jail him, or take from him his property rests directly on the voting citizen. There is no other place to rest the credit or blame for what is done in the name of government. This is a moral question of the most serious nature. For that reason, it is also religious. Thus, the central problem of government is a religious one, and anyone who assumes that he can form his political beliefs without consulting his ethics, which have their basis in religious conviction, is deceiving himself either about the true nature of government or his moral responsibility for its actions. But the problem of government is also of interest to the Latter-day Saints in connection with the privilege of holding the priesthood. When we act through government, we are using physical coercion to compel our fellow men to do as we say or forfeit their lives, liberties, or properties. It should be immediately apparent that we might direct our agent, the government, to use compulsion for wrong purposes, as well as for those which are right. If we do abuse the power of government, who will deny that this constitutes an exercise of unrighteous dominion? Doctrine and Covenants, section 121 tells us, in effect, that if we exercise control, dominion, or compulsion in any degree of unrighteousness, and fail to mend our ways, amen to our priesthood. Thus it is possible that we priesthood bearers are jeopardizing our callings by abusing the rare privilege of self-government. The danger that we will abuse the police power any time that it is made subject to our direction is most likely for several reasons. Number one, it is the nature and disposition of almost all men. As soon as they get a little authority, as they suppose, they will immediately begin to exercise unrighteous dominion. Doctrine and Covenants 121:39. Number two, when we use force upon others through government, we do so without fear of retaliation, so conscience alone remains to restrain us. Number three, we are easily deceived about government because we are inclined to accept the following fallacies. A, anything legal is moral. B, we are not individually responsible for government action. C, a different moral law applies when men act in concert than it does when they act alone. Latter-day Saint scriptures indicate that it was necessary for the Lord to set this nation up as a free people before he could restore the gospel to earth. They also tell us that the Lord caused our constitutional form of government to be established so that men could exercise free agency. To enable the church to continue to exist and to permit men to continue to exercise their agency in this land, it is essential that this government of freedom be preserved. For these reasons, if no others, the Lord is deeply concerned about our political institutions and beliefs. It is not surprising, therefore, that the Lord has given us extensive instructions on matters of government. It is the hope of the author that those who read this material may find, as I have, that the words of God's prophets, together with the United States Constitution, which he caused to be established, provide complete guidance on all important political problems. If this is true, there is no reason why those who accept the words of the prophets may not come to a unity of political belief, and thus put an end to that spirit of contention, which, if not checked, may produce serious consequences among us. President McKay has expressed the hope that this will occur. Said he, next to being one in worshiping God, there is nothing in this world upon which this church should be more united than upholding and defending the Constitution of the United States. Okay, so that was the introductory statement from H. Verlan Andersen. And to top it off, I'm going to go ahead and throw in a John Adams quote here that seems right on the topic. It is more important that innocence be protected than it is that guilt be punished. For guilt and crimes are so frequent in this world that they cannot all be punished. But if innocence itself is brought to the bar and condemned perhaps to die, then the citizen will say, whether I do good or whether I do evil is immaterial, for innocence itself is no protection. And if such an idea as that were to take hold in the mind of the citizen, that would be the end of security whatsoever. John Adams, 1770. Okay, so please like and subscribe. I'm committed to continue to be very diligent in trying to share the best content on the topic of the Constitution and the proper role of government. So we'll be releasing another one real soon here. And yes, thank you again for listening.